Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be going over my 10 must-have players for the 2023 fantasy football season. Now, this video is being recorded in February. Free agency hasn't opened yet. The NFL draft hasn't happened yet, and we are a long ways away from your 2023 fantasy football draft, so this is just an early look into my must-have players for the 2023 fantasy football season as of right now. Before we get into things, though, I would like to ask, if you are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, please make sure you do hit that subscribe button down below, as well as hitting that like button. It would help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter, please do so at NotoriousFantasy. So without further ado, let's get into my 10 must-have players for the 2023 fantasy football season. We begin at number 1 with Bijan Robinson, running back of, not on a team yet, obviously, is a 2023 NFL draft prospect. He is going to be, unless something crazy happens, which no one is going to forecast, he's going to be the first running back selected in the 2023 NFL draft, and he will be a first-round draft pick in fantasy football drafts come August or early September when you do your fantasy football draft. Currently coming off the board at pick 13.3, running back number 4 on Underdog Fantasy. He played for 3 years at Texas from 2020 to 2022. He had back-to-back Michael Jordan 96-97 1,000-yard rushing seasons in 2022. He played in 12 games, having 258 rushing attempts, 1,580 rushing yards, 19 receptions for 314 receiving yards, and 20 total touchdowns. Now, I know you might read 19 receptions. If you go do a deep dive into his stats from the collegiate level at Texas, this guy isn't catching a million balls every single year, game in and game out. But ultimately, I do still believe at the NFL level, this guy has the ability, he has the caliber to be a great running back, both phases of the game. He's going to be great at rushing the ball as well as catching passes. Everyone and their mom is talking about Bijan Robinson. They're getting down on their knees, giving this guy the metaphorical gawk 9,000, and for great reasons, because again, this guy is amazing. He runs incredibly hard and can barrel through defenders while also having some solid wiggle. Not the fastest guy on earth, but does have breakaway speed while excelling both inside the tackles as well as rushing outside. Again, I really have very strong confidence in Bijan Robinson. I know recently we haven't had too many rookie running backs come out that are guys that you want to draft in the first round of fantasy. I know Clyde Edwards-Helaire a couple years ago, second round pick in fantasy football drafts. We had Jonathan Taylor, where people were talking about, oh, maybe this guy should be a first round fantasy draft pick, but he ended up being like a second or third round pick in a lot of redraft leagues. Bijan, though, this man's going to be a first round fantasy football draft pick, and you better believe, in my opinion, this guy is worth all of the hype, and I'm very excited to see which team he lands in the NFL draft. Just not necessarily super close, but we're knocking on the door of the NFL draft. At number 2, we have Jaylen waddled away, waddle, till the very next day. Bum, bada bum. Wide receiver of the Miami Dolphins, ADP wide receiver number 10, current pick 17.9, wide receiver number 7 in half PPR last season in 2022, wide receiver 13 in half PPR points per game. He played in 17 games, having 116 targets, 6.8 per game. Number 24 at wide receiver, 75 receptions, 4.4 per game. Number 23, 1,356 receiving yards, 79.8 per game. Number 7, and 8 total touchdowns. Number 11 at wide receiver. Putting up these humongous numbers while Tua Tagovailoa was missing for a couple of games, and while Tyreek Hill is the wide receiver 1A in this offense. Now, I call Tyreek the 1A because Jaylen Waddle is the 1B. It's not like Tyreek Hill is levels above Jaylen Waddle, and I would not be shocked one bit if Jaylen Waddle was able to outscore Tyreek Hill in fantasy football this season, and it wouldn't shock me at all if they were both top 5 wide receivers in fantasy football. Some interesting efficiency stats for Waddle from last season: first in yards per target with 11.7, first in yards per reception with 18.1, third in fantasy points per target with 2.23, and 10th in route win rate. I genuinely believe this Dolphins team is going to take another step up in 2023 with Mike McDaniel back for a second year, with the second year of the system with Tua Tagovailoa. And if Tua is able to stay healthy, the ceiling is the fucking moon. It is outer space for Jaylen Waddle. I expect huge numbers yet again out of Jaylen Waddle. At number 3, we move to Magic Mike Williams, wide receiver of the LA Chargers. Current ADP, wide receiver 19, pick 40.2 off the board right now. Wide receiver number 30 and half PPR in 2022. Wide receiver 22 and half PPR points per game, tied with scary Terry McLaurin. Playing in 13 games on the season, he had 93 targets, 7.2 per game, ranking 39th, 63 receptions, 4.8 per game, 37th, 895 receiving yards, 68.8 per game, 0.2 off of being very nice, I like, with 69 per game, 25th at wide receiver, and 4 total touchdowns, 37th at wide receiver. Keenan Allen is seemingly gone. Poof. Fucking gone. All right. I genuinely would be shocked at this point, based upon a lot of what I've read, if Keenan Allen returns in 2023. Now, that would mean seemingly that Mike Williams, Mike Dub, becomes the wide receiver 1 in this offense in terms of targets. Now, if they get rid of Mike Williams, would it surprise me if the LA Chargers used one of their early picks on a wide receiver in this draft class? Nope. Fuck no, baby. That wouldn't surprise me at all. So I still think, though, even if they bring someone else in, which they should, right? They have Mike Williams and Joshua Palmer are their 2 guys. I would still be very confident in Mike Williams. Some people might throw Mike Williams into the injury-prone category, but over the last 5 seasons, he's played in 15 or more games in 4 seasons. The only season that he didn't do that was last year. Kellen Moore is now the OC. They kicked Lombardi to the fucking curb, and that could end up leading this offense into a much better direction going forward. I'm a big fan of Mike Williams. He is kind of one of those boomer bust guys, right, where he's going to have those big games where he absolutely demolishes a defense. He's going to have some games where he kind of shits the bed, takes a nap in your lineup, but ultimately I'm still very comfortable drafting Mike Williams at his current ADP. Next up, we move to another Mike, and this is Michael Pittman Jr., wide receiver of the Indianapolis Colts. Current ADP, wide receiver 22 at pick 44.9. Wide receiver 23.5 PPR last year. Wide receiver 29.5 PPR points per game. Now, he played in 16 games on the season, having 141 targets, 8.8 per game. Number 11 at wide receiver. Almost 100 receptions, 99 receptions, 6.2 per game. Number 8, 925 receiving yards, 57.8 per game. Number 24, and 4 total touchdowns, 37th. Now, some efficiency stats to kind of wet the beak here with. 297 total route wins, 2nd at wide receiver. 50.3% route win rate, 7th. 52.2% contested catch rate, 17th. Now, the problem with Michael Pittman for his first 2 years in the National Football League, the quarterback situation. They had Carson Wentz, and then last year it was Matty Ice Baby and Sam Ehlinger. The coach situation, people definitely didn't like the coach situation last year. This situation was garbage, but still, Michael Pittman Jr. dominated. He was dominant. He was destroying the DBs. The problem was the quarterback was fucking Stevie Wonder for the team. So ultimately, this year, I know the quarterback situation is up in the air. It could be Baker Mayfield, maybe. It could be Derek Carr. It could be Aaron Rodgers. It could be one of the quarterbacks in the NFL draft that people are highly touting. We shall see who it is. But basically, any option that I listed would be better than Matt fucking Ryan, that old bastard, and Sam Ehlinger. So my confidence level in Michael Pittman is at an all-time high. I think you're buying them cheap right now. If you're doing some underdog fantasy drafts, click the link in the video description. You get a $100 first match deposit bonus. So you deposit $100, you receive an additional $100. You do some drafts on there. I think you're buying in on him at a good point, because I could really see his ADP moving up once people realize, like, oh, wow, look how good Michael Pittman was last year with not a great situation. Now what's going to happen once the quarterback is actually, not some garbage can. So I'm pretty excited about Michael Pittman Jr. this season. Next up at number 5, we move to Trevor Lawrence, quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you haven't noticed, this list is in order of average draft position. So Bijan going the earliest in drafts, Trevor Lawrence going at pick 55.9 ADP, quarterback number 8 of the Jacksonville Jaguars, quarterback 7 last year, quarterback 13 in points per game, playing in all 17 games on the season, having 584 passing attempts, 34.4 per game, ranking 7th, 4,113 passing yards, 241.9 per game, 9th at quarterback, 25 passing tugs, 4.3% rate, number 8 at quarterback. Quarterback passing touchdown rate is something that I'm going to talk about all off season long. The 5% number, very normal. So if a quarterback goes out and puts up 8% touchdown rate, 7% passing touchdown rate, then it's more than likely that that's going to come spiraling down, because that is out of the ordinary, out of this world. Lawrence with 4.3, you could probably project that that's going to go higher based upon the skills that Trevor Lawrence has. 8 interceptions, 20th at quarterback, 62 carries, 10th, 291 rushing yards, 10th, 5 rushing touchdowns, 5th. Trevor Lawrence is not Kyler Murray. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Justin Fields. He's not Jalen Hurts. He's not one of these rushing quarterbacks, but he is good enough to put up 5 rushing touchdowns on a season. He's good enough to get 200 rushing yards. He's good enough to rush the ball a couple of times every single game and maybe sneak his way into the end zone, right? Again, he's not the rushing quarterback that some people are so hell-bent on drafting in fantasy football, but he does have the upside to score some rushing touchdowns in any given game. This is a Jaguars team that I love going forward. The team brought in Calvin Ridley at the trade deadline. Now, he has not actually been taken off of the commissioner's exempt list yet because of that gambling controversy and all. This guy isn't Pete Rose. He was betting on the Falcons to win when the Falcons were dog shit, when he wasn't even playing. I don't know why the NFL threw the metaphorical book at the guy. I think he should be fine. Second year in the system with Doug Peterson. The Jaguars looked good last year. I think they're going to look even better this year. Some efficiency stats for T-Law: 7.9 accuracy rating, 9th at quarterback, 95.1 true passer rating, 6th at quarterback, 54.5 QBR, 15th at quarterback. Again, I think this guy is legit. Everyone was sucking this guy's cock coming into the NFL draft. His rookie year wasn't the best, but you can blame that all on their head coach, who's a certified bozo. Now they get Doug Peterson, who's legit. So I'm a big fan of Trevor Lawrence. This feels like another guy whose ADP is going to get higher. Next up, we move to Hollywood Brown at number 6 of the Arizona Cardinals. Wide receiver 33 off the board, pick 64.9. Last year was a bit of a doozy. Wide receiver 46.5 PPR on the season. Wide receiver 31 in points per game, tied with Garrett Wilson and Mecole Hardman. 12 games played for Hollywood Brown, 107 targets, 8.9 per game. 28th, 67 receptions, 5.6 per game. 30th, 709 receiving yards, 59.1 per game. 43rd, 3 total tugs, 50th at wide receiver. Right now, it seems like DeAndre Hopkins is on his way out. A lot like Keenan Allen, and we talked about with Mike Williams, but with Mike Williams, I think there still is a chance that Keenan Allen could be back. Again, I don't project Keenan Allen to be back. I think it is a foregone conclusion that bye-bye DeAndre Hopkins, that he's gone. I would be pretty perplexed, shocked, if D-Hop was back with the Cardinals this season. Think Hollywood's good enough to be the wide receiver 1, even if they draft someone. They got Rondale Moore as well, a couple of decent pieces, but Hollywood's that guy, in my opinion. There's a reason why they traded for Hollywood from the Baltimore Ravens last year. So Kyler is hurt. That's what's probably making people get a little bit panicked, a little bit flustered. Probably going to miss 5+ games. I know there's always going to be the optimistic people. Now, I'm as much of a doctor as Johnny Sins. I always talk about this, right? I'm not a doctor, but based upon what I've read, seems like 5, 6, 7, like around half the season, if he doesn't come back by the halfway point, I'd be shocked. But if he misses around half the games, you shouldn't be like, oh, they pulled the wool over my eyes, right? You shouldn't think that. Seems like he's going to miss some serious time. But I think this team, where Colt McCoy is, he's not coming back, let's be honest. Let's just bring in Jacoby Brissett. Let's bring in Gardner Minshew. Let's bring in someone so that this coach can figure shit out, right? And then Kyler comes back, and then everything's all fine and dandy, right? But you don't need the greatest quarterback ever to throw the ball to Hollywood Brown. So again, while the quarterback situation's a little bit gloomy, it's a little gross, I'm still very confident in Hollywood Brown and his skill set. And again, at wide receiver 33, I think that's Pretty disrespectful. At number 7, we got my guy Tua Tagovailoa of the Miami Dolphins, quarterback, ADP quarterback 12, pick 96.1, quarterback 15 in 2022, quarterback 12 in points per game, Himothy, as I like to call him. 13 games played last season, 400 passing attempts, 30.8 per game, 18th, 3,548 passing yards, 272.9 per game, 12th, 25 passing touchdown, a 6.3% rate, 8th, 8 interceptions, 20th, 24 carries, 70 rushing yards, no rushing touchdowns. When it comes to passing touchdown rate, again, we talked about with Trevor Lawrence, his number was at a 4.3% rate. I think that goes up. Tua's was 6.3%. I think that'll go down. But if Tua plays more than 13 games, he's still going to throw around the 30 passing touchdown mark, in my opinion, probably even more. Now, again, talked about this with Jaylen Waddle. This is the second year in the system with Mike McDaniel. This is the second year of Tua in this system. This is an offense that is loaded to the fucking gills. I know we talked up Jaylen Waddle, but they got Tyreek Hill. They are going to seemingly bring in another tight end, I would think. I think Gesicki's going out the door. They have weapons. They have legit weapons. They're going to bring in another running back. This is a team that is loaded to the gills offensively. This is a team that performed last season. They were running swimmingly when Tua was healthy. Once Tua got hurt, the team was all out of whack. And I'm a Dolphins fan, but again, I don't put any type of bias into these videos when I'm talking about fantasy football. Obviously, if you watch the videos during the season, I'll say every Sunday the Dolphins are going to win. Obviously, I bet on them every Sunday. I assume they're going to win, but that doesn't go into my analysis, right? I don't think fucking the Dolphins are really going to go 17-0. I don't think Tua is going to be the best quarterback in the NFL, but could he put up numbers to easily surpass quarterback 12 off the board, in my opinion? Easily. Efficiency stats, these are the ones you could use to give the argument for Tua. 8.9 yards per attempt, number 1 at quarterback. 9.3 air yards per attempt, 3rd. 7.9 accuracy rating, 7th. 50% deep ball completion percentage, number 1, numero uno. 65.3% red zone completion percentage, 2nd. 68.5 QBR, 3rd at quarterback. He was amazing. He was amazing last season. People discredit him. He's lefty. He's injury prone. Blah, 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 blah. When you draft a player early in fantasy football drafts, I'm fine understanding why you might not want to draft them, because you might think they're injury prone. You might say X player is injury prone. I don't want to draft them. Say, for instance, Patrick Mahomes. Now, this is not true. Say Patrick Mahomes, this amazing quarterback. He's what he is now, but he's injury prone, and people were scared to draft him. Again, Mahomes not injury prone, but in this example, he's like a 2nd round fantasy pick. Everyone loves him, but he might be injury prone to some people. He's not actually in real life, again, but in this example, and people want to fade him. Okay, that's fine. Tua's getting picked not in the top 4 fucking rounds. He's picked 96.1. I understand some people might want to wrap the metaphorical condom around the roster, draft 2 quarterbacks, and go right ahead. But if I'm not getting Trevor Lawrence, if I'm not getting one of those early quarterbacks, if I'm sitting there waiting, I'm snagging Tua before it's too late. Because after Tua, starts to get a little bit brutal at the quarterback position. Next up, we move to A.J. Dillon at number 8, Green Bay Packers running back, ADP running back 34, pick 107.6. Now, last year, if you watched the videos that I was posting, I talked about how I didn't love A.J. Dillon at ADP. Love the player, Quadzilla. Love the skill that the guy has. I love the opportunity that he would get if Aaron Jones got hurt. But people were drafting this motherfucker in like the 6th round. Right? People were drafting him as if he was going to be able to overcome Aaron Jones and become the guy in the offense. And I was talking about how I did not think that was possible. Now we're sitting here. I touched the mic a little bit, tapped it a little, giving us love taps. So sorry if you heard that. But now we're drafting him at pick 107. Now it's like palatable to draft him, right? Because you understand the situation. You know he's not the guy, but you know he can become the guy with injury. And you know if you're in a fucking pickle and you drafted A.J. Dillon, you can play him any given week. Now, you're not expecting some huge game with Aaron Jones healthy, but you could metaphorically tell the story when you throw him in your lineup that, oh, the Packers play good this game, he scores 2 touchdowns, right? You could see that happening. Running back 25.5 PPR last year, 36 in points per game, tied with Cam Akers, B-Rob, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. 17 games played. His stats, not necessarily mouth-watering, pretty solid, though, for the situation he's in. 186 carries, 10.9 per game, 27th, 770 rushing yards, 45.3 per game, 31st, 43 targets, 2.5 per game, 24th, 28 receptions, 1.6 per game, 30th, 206 receiving yards, 12.1 per game, 32nd, and 7 total touchdowns, 19th. Again, why I love A.J. Dillon right now is because of the price you are paying. You are drafting him understanding he is a high-level handcuff that you can start weekly, but you're not fucking jizzing your pants to throw in your lineup. When you were drafting him in the 6th round last year, you had to have done some type of galaxy brain thinking that this guy is going to become the guy. And it's clear that Aaron Jones is still that guy. But A.J. Dillon, it's not like, this isn't just like a one-headed backfield. It's a two-headed backfield, but Aaron Jones obviously ahead of A.J. Dillon. I know some people will be worried about Aaron Rodgers, blah, blah, blah. Look, Jordan Love isn't garbage. If he ends up being the guy, I'm not too worried. I honestly think Aaron Rodgers is going to end up coming back. If I'm keeping it a buck with you. At number 9, we move to Cole Kmet of the Chicago Bears tight end. ADP tight end 13, pick 127.4. Tight end number 7 in half PPR, tight end 14 in points per game in half PPR. He had 69 targets on the year. Very nice. I like him. My name is Borat. 17 games played, 4.1 per game, 13th at tight end, 50 receptions, 2.9, 15th at tight end, 544 receiving yards, 32 per game, 13th, 7 total tugs, 4th. Look, at the tight end position, it is very top heavy, like Lizzo. Top heavy completely. Once you get past Kelsey, Andrews, assuming Lamar's back, Kittle starts to look disgusting. Really, just past Kelsey, it starts to get a little bit worrisome. But you're obviously a lot more confident in those other guys than some of these guys when you get deeper down. But again, Cole Kmet's good. The Bears should draft a receiver. Maybe they link up JSN and Justin Fields, but we'll see. But again, Cole Kmet's good. He's linked to an offense that I think is going to continue to excel. Touchdown machine at times. Fine drafting him at tight end 13. Again, if I'm not getting one of those premier guys, I'm not racing up the draft board to draft Kyle Pitts right now, right? I'm just going to chill back and wait, draft Cole Kmet. Or draft the next guy I want to talk about real quick, though. Cole Kmet, some efficiency stats, 2.52 target separation, 4th at tight end, 2.13 fantasy points per target, 4th at tight end, and 0.45 fantasy points per route run, 5th. So he's a good player. He's efficient. He's nice with it. Again, I'm not salivating to draft Cole Kmet, but he's kind of the best of these late round guys. Speaking of late round tight ends, we got my guy, Mike Licky on my Gesicki. Now, this is an assumption. Pick 171, tight end 20. And you know what I say? People say an assumption makes an ass out of you and me. But my assumption is that Mike Gesicki is not going to be on the Dolphins. The Dolphins, we've seen Gesicki put up good numbers. Last year, the exact polar opposite. He was not targeted. 52 targets, 3.1 per game. 29th. 32 receptions, 29th. 362 receiving yards, 29th. 5 total touchdowns, 8th. A humongous fall from grace from what we've seen out of Mike Gesicki's seasons prior with the Dolphins. I think if he goes to any team, any other team where they don't have, like, imagine Gesicki on the fucking Chargers. My cock would be erect to have gotten him right now, pick 171. I would be elated if he goes to a team and they utilize him. They're going to utilize him. The reason why the Dolphins didn't utilize him is because he can't block. He cannot block, and Mike McDaniel couldn't get it out of his genius head that maybe we should just throw the fucking ball to him. Now, he hit the Gesicki gritty a couple times. I love Gesicki. I wish he could stay a Dolphin, but ultimately, I know how this shit goes. I know how it works. He's not going to be a Dolphin, but he's still going to be good on a different team. So I'm excited about him. We'll see what team he goes to, but preliminary right now, pretty confident Mike Gesicki. So I love you guys. Deep down, bottom of my heart. Try to keep these shorter, these 10-player ones. But they never go short because I love fucking talking. I love you guys too. I hope you have a great rest of your guys' day. Hit that subscribe button down below if you enjoyed. Hit that like button. Comment Penn State. That's the college Mike Gesicki went to. College Bo Nickel. Bro, I think that's his name, Bo Nickel. He's in the UFC on Sunday or Saturday. He's fighting. I fucking love that guy. Nick, you don't love him. You don't know his name. Whatever. I watched him fight a couple times. He's very interesting. He's quick with it. He's fast with it, like me in the bed. So I love you guys all so much. Hope you have a great guys' day. And as always, good boy.